But first, there are now 10 candidates vying to join the Peoria City Council. This tops Hour 9 at 9 tonight. Thank you for joining us. I'm Lauren Langer. DeLon Dillard is live at the debate tonight. DeLon, what are voters telling you?
Well, Lauren, yeah, first and foremost, that candidate debate just finished about 45 minutes ago. It's still going on right now, but right now they're actually speaking with park board candidates as well. It was definitely a good debate, definitely a hefty debate, I should say, between all 10 candidates. Let's get into some video and show you what this is looking like right now inside that room. It was a plethora of topics that were thrown out, from bringing more jobs to Peoria and economic development to capital and infrastructure improvements. The 24/7 Wall Street study naming Peoria one of the worst cities for African Americans was also brought up, and several candidates expressed their desire to push for more equity and equality and fight for more racial inequalities in and throughout the city. Now, the room was full of several supporters, and also it was full of a number of people who were eager to learn more about who represents what they're looking for. And I did speak with one voter who says he wants a candidate who will focus on growth and bringing more small and local businesses to the city. Take a listen.
Want to take money away from the people before they even make it. They want to put more regulations on them in many instances, and they pick and choose on who they want and where they want them. You know, I think that it's got to be a lot more business friendly, and people need to be able to run their own businesses.
And the biggest thing that rang out from each candidate tonight was their desire to grow Peoria's economic base and bring more jobs to the city of Peoria. Be sure to stay with your local election headquarters, WYZZ, as we bring you full coverage for the next month until that general election. Lauren, back to you.
DeLon, thank you. The mayor of Dwight says he's disgusted with negative or false comments made by those who oppose the proposed $45 million immigrant detention center. In a post on Facebook, Mayor Jared Anderson wrote, non-criminal detainees would be treated with more compassion because they would no longer be held in small jail cells. Anderson says a total of 64 people would be staying in dorm-like settings with a TV in a common area, adding the center would provide 360 jobs. The Dwight Village Board is expected to vote on annexing the proposed property site on Monday. Representatives for the city of Pekin have responded to a lawsuit filed by 7 residents. The plaintiffs claim the city is in violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act. The suit claims each of the plaintiffs has some sort of disability, and their inability to use sidewalks in the city amounts to discrimination. The defendant's lawyer denied 86 of the 95-paragraph suit, adding in a few cases city leaders lack sufficient information to form a belief on the truth of the allegations. The residents are asking for a jury trial in the case. Former Illinois Rep. Aaron Schock appeared in court today for the first time since the Supreme Court declined to get involved in his corruption case. In court, the judge made a surprise move in what has been a high-profile case. Federal prosecutors have agreed to drop all charges against Schock if he agrees to reimburse campaign committees and pay back taxes. Schock and his team have cried foul from day one. Before the case was transferred to Chicago, Assistant U.S. Attorney Timothy Bass withdrew from the prosecution team. The downstate Republicans' legal team accused Bass of misleading a federal judge and inappropriately inquiring about Schock's sexuality. Here's what the former congressman had to say today after the decision this morning.
I do feel like I've been wronged in this process by a prosecutor who saw me as his ticket to stardom and who was allowed to go unchecked for many years at great expense to me personally, my family and friends, and yes, the taxpayers.
Schock resigned from Congress in 2015 amid scrutiny of his spending, including redecorating his office in the style of Downton Abbey TV series. He was indicted in 2016 on 22 counts, including wire fraud and falsification of Election Commission filings. After the indictment, Schock expressed frustration with the judicial system.
For the past 19 months, the government has poked, prodded, and probed every aspect of my professional, political, and personal life. I am forced to join the millions of Americans who have sadly concluded that our federal justice system is broken and too often driven by politics instead of facts.
In 2017, the first judge in the case recused herself, and 2 of the original 24 counts in the indictment were dismissed. By 2018, the initial team of prosecutors was removed after false statements were made to a judge and concerns about comments made during a grand jury proceeding.
Just a couple weeks ago, we found out that the same U.S. Attorney's Office was engaged in ex parte communication with the judge in my case about another criminal matter, and that's why we've now got a new judge.
Many are responding to the news. Republican Congressman Darren LaHood weighed in on the development, saying, quote, "This has been a long, expensive legal process for Aaron, and this misdemeanor plea will allow him to move on with his life. I wish him well." In other news, a historic building in the Twin Cities could soon see changes. State Farm has interest in purchasing an agreement. They have an agreement with an anonymous buyer for its former downtown building. This is a tentative agreement, and if all goes well, they hope to close the deal this summer. According to the potential buyer's broker, they are interested in this building because it's unique and has a lot of history. The anonymous buyer is thinking of using the first floor for retail and restaurant space. Illinois State Police today announced plans to continue improving the enforcement of existing gun laws. This comes less than a month after 5 people were killed at an Aurora warehouse by a man police say should have turned over the gun used in that shooting. Police confirmed the gun was ordered to be returned through a letter in the mail, but was never handed over. This prompted a plan for agencies to improve sharing information throughout the state. The new measure will make FOID revocations and firearm transfer information available to all Illinois enforcement agencies. The push to legalize recreational marijuana appears on track despite some loud efforts to derail it. The group Smart Approaches to Marijuana, one of the biggest and well-funded groups fighting against legal marijuana. In a last-ditch effort to scare lawmakers, the group's national political director said legalizing marijuana would put children and drivers in harm's way.
Our youth consumption rate has gone up in states who legalized it, and how we're seeing car tragedies and car accidents and DUIs.
Every sky is falling argument that these folks make, these things are happening today. We have over 800,000 people in the state of Illinois who report regular use of cannabis.
Governor Pritzker, along with most Republicans and Democrats, support the plan. His new budget proposal is banking on the state collecting at least $170 million in licensing fees for dispensaries this year. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Chris Yates with a quick look at that forecast. Chris.